Our next guest today on Community Focus on Washington County is Norma Goode. Welcome, Norma.
Thank you.
I know this doesn't really pertain to Christmas, and everybody on the show today has talked about all the Christmas activities. You know, it is the season.
Mm-hmm.
'Tis the season already. I can't believe it. But anyway, I have been thinking about that beautiful little town of Texas. Now, I sometimes call it East Texas. Now, and you clarified that for me the other day. And of course, that's the community I understand you grew up in. Is that correct?
I did not grow up there.
Oh, you did not?
But I've been there 60 years.
Okay. Okay. So,
I actually was taken there as a young bride.
okay.
Okay.
Your husband Denny then, when you married, he grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured where did you originate then?
Well, I was actually born in Lincoln County, Kentucky, and then my father and mother moved to Washington and Marion County line. And my dad was a foreman of a large farm on the old Jimtown Road, Simstown to Jimtown. And that's how I wound up there. And then, as Washington County boys usually do, I was going to Lebanon High School, and they come to Lebanon, you know, to get their girlfriends sometime. And so I always tell my children that their dad kidnapped me and brought me over here. And that's why I've been there 60 years. But I've been in the exact same place, the Goode home place, for 60 years.
Oh,
no
wow.
moving.
Now, what was your maiden name?
My maiden name was Grubbs,
Okay.
Grubbs.
But you were right on the Marion-Washington County
Yes,
line,
yes.
over on Simstown Road
Yes.
then.
Yes.
So, so you married a Washington County boy, and you were how old?
17.
Oh my goodness!
17 years old.
Yeah.
Almost 18.
But you were able to. You had finished high school.
Yes.
Okay. So then you came over here. So really, you've been in the town of Texas for how many years?
60 years.
Wow.
A little over 60
You're
years.
telling
really.
your age. I
know.
I can't believe it because you don't look your age.
I don't mind. I'm very happy to say that. I'm very happy to say that.
Well, you don't look your age. So, and now tell me then, because you clarified this for me, that Texas, and it's not really East Texas, it's just Texas. And that is why?
It's actually Texas, Kentucky, and the sign says Texas, Kentucky. And the only legend I have ever heard about it is Mr. Moran, and right now I cannot even think of his first name. He was editor of Springfield Sun for many, many years.
Right.
And Mr. Moran somehow looked that up for me, and he said it's always been Texas, Kentucky, as long as he could ever remember. And I had an older lady to tell me that the reason it was named Texas was because a young man from Texas moved there, opened a general store, and everyone would say, we're going over to Texas to the store. True or not, I don't know, but it's a cute story.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Well, I did wonder, I mean, I know that there are other towns in the United States named Texas, but I really do like that. And I when I think of Texas, I sometimes think about that Christmas show, that Christmas Christmas in Tuna, Texas.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
we had here at the Opera House.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because there's so many, I think, wonderful people in Texas, and it's a unique community, I think. And I think also about the antique store that used to be there. That was, I think, run by the Goodes.
It was, and it's probably distant relatives of my husband, but that was the old Texas grade school. They didn't use the word elementary. It was Texas grade school. And when it sold, Mr. Charlie P. Goode opened up an antique store there. And I have some things myself that I bought from there. But one thing about Texas, Kentucky is in 1940s and 50s, it was just like a little town, like many little towns in Kentucky are. There were 3 or 4 stores. There was the school. There it was just beautiful lawns, and people had big gardens. But right now, in 2015, the only one big community building we have is Bethlehem Baptist Church. If we ever needed it, it has a lower level that's very secure. And of course, anybody would be welcome because, you know, like we've had ice storms and things, you know, where people would go actually use the basement. Waters usually were not running. But at one time there were many, I've had people tell me there was a doctor there. But in 1955, when I married, there was 2 general stores, and the school was about ready to be consolidated with Springfield, which was necessary, I feel, because I sent my children to Springfield.
Well, is there a population of Texas that, I mean, it's not, I think at one time, or maybe it never was, like Fredericksburg never incorporated. So it's, you know, you don't have a city hall or a
no. We're in the voting district. We're District 3, and actually it never was incorporated. But there was a post office in one of the general stores when I first married, and it was within the store. And we haven't had zip code way long time, but we actually had a zip code, and I can remember it. It's 40072. That was my Texas zip code.
Oh, that's great.
So, you know, I raised 4 children there, and 3 of my sons are still in the area.
Right.
And my daughter lives away. But
well, I mean, everybody, you know, it's still called Texas, and you know, you do have some beautiful homes and farmland there.
Some Federal
You don't have a store anymore.
No. But we're only 5 minutes from Springfield now with the new 150. Just zip down here.
Right. And so, but that's where you raise your children. And I suppose now, I know your husband was a farmer.
He was a farmer. He was a dairy farmer for many years. And as our sons got older, we sent them to college, and he would tell them he didn't think small farming was going to last. He was a very smart man. And the last one of the boys left, and one day somebody was crossing the road and looked at his cattle, and he said, "Would you sell those cows, Mr. Goode?" And he said, "What do you offer?" And he sold all the dairy cows that day. And you may remember Mrs. Everett Hale.
Oh, yes.
She was doing the GED classes. And at that time he lacked getting his GED. He got a hold of her. He made excellent grades, got that. And it wasn't long after that till he started working at the prison over in Marion County, if you remember that. I think it was called MAC.
Marion Adjustment Center.
Marion Adjustment Center. And see, he actually worked there about 10 years before he got sick. And of course now he's been passed away for over 8 years.
Well, so he was 18 when you all married?
Yes.
And just lacking high school, graduating.
Graduating.
He fell in love and had to get married.
He fell in love and married Norma Grubscoot. Married Norma. but you know, it was, I think that it was really just 2 young kids, you know, and we were married 52 years before he died.
Wow.
And he was young, I think, when he died, because I'm still here and I'm like ancient now. He was only 70 when he died, and I look around at everybody else, and
that's young, Norma.
And now I'm in this big old home place house that I think I cried when we were married and lived there. I kept saying, "Well, I can't live here." We lived with these mother and father, as everybody did. But now I'm thinking,
oh, that's cool. So
now
you
I'm thinking how
family.
God blesses us sometime. And you know, so, and everybody's welcome to come to see me. I'm still there.
So that was his parents' home place.
It was, and he was born actually in the room that is my bedroom. I mean, this whole conversation seems to be about Denny B. Goode, doesn't it? But that's okay. That's okay with me.
Well, that's the home that you. I mean, that's where you were married.
That's our Texas home.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you. So how old? What year was that house built?
You know, I have no idea. His father always said it was there when the Civil War, when Perryville had their Perryville battlefield. But it's probably over 200. I don't know. I don't never go to the courthouse and look up anything.
Did Denny's grandparents?
No. It just started with his parents.
It started with his parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was probably early in the 1900 and something when the parents came there. I don't really know for sure.
So, and I suppose you still have some farmland there.
Yes, I do.
And Hal, I think, used to, and Jeff maybe did some farming.
They did. They had to farm when they lived at home with their dad. They had to help. And Hal just lives a hop and a skip down the road from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
So they grew up farming. All the
yes,
kids.
Yes. It was their livelihood.
That's Jeff. Jeff is the oldest.
Jeff's the oldest. Then Hal.
Hal.
And then the youngest is Todd. Goode.
Todd, yes.
Yes. And then my oldest is Elaine, who married a Hirsch from Springfield.
Okay.
And she lives in Richmond now.
Okay. So does anybody farm the land now?
Yes, I have been so blessed to have James Osborne and his crew. They lease my land, and they've leased it for the last 4 years, and they will continue on. And they're wonderful. They're in the Osborne family, and it's a wonderful they're a young couple, James and Tara. I want to mention his wife because that's so important in a farmer's life. Tara, and they have 3 beautiful daughters.
Right.
And
well, that's great that you still have your land there and it's being leased, and then you just come to town every day.
Every day, every day.
and come down to the Senior Citizen Center and have lunch.
Do. And I might
visit with everybody.
And I will compliment our senior citizens. It's comfortable and warm. The lunch is nice, and the manager is a very nice person, and so. I think we are so blessed to have the senior citizens in Springfield, plus so many other things we have here that I'm so thankful for.
Right. Well, you've been a big supporter of this community, Norma, and you may not originate from Washington County, but by all accounts, you're a Washington Countian.
Yes.
And you have been active in this community forever. And now you worked
for the school system. For 27 years.
And retired from there. Your job there was?
With special needs children, who I still see some of them and love them dearly. And as a special needs instructional assistant, you're tossed around a lot, and so you meet a lot of people. And the young people come up to me now, and they have children. And I enjoyed my experience of working for the public school system. I am thankful for our schools. Very thankful.
Which school did you work in primarily?
Actually, Lisa, I worked in every one of them, I think. I started out at the old Springfield Elementary, went to the new school, I worked at Mackville, and then I came back to the new elementary. Even drove a school bus for 10 years of the special needs.
Wow.
I don't know how I did it now. I don't think I think it's like a dream. It's kind of like raising 4 children.
That's right.
You wonder, okay, how did I do that?
Yeah.
But I don't regret any of it. And my husband was the big Denny was so supportive. We needed it. We needed for me to work.
Well, because being in the school system with his farming at the time, you were able to have insurance through the school system.
That's exactly right. And
farmers didn't have any insurance.
They had nothing.
Medical insurance or retirement or anything.
Yeah, so it was really a wonderful time for us. I actually didn't start working like that until I think it was 1974 when I began.
Till you got the kids raised.
Yeah. The youngest one was 5 years old at home, and I think he did open all the Christmas presents one Christmas. But I'm a farmer's wife, but I'll have to admit, I am not a farmer. And I wasn't pressured to go drive a tractor. I'm just kind of a little, I don't want to say city girl on the farm, but maybe I'm a spoilt farmer's wife. Maybe I'll put it like that. I like that. I like to think that maybe my husband spoilt me. Don't we like to think that?
Oh, yeah.
We like to think
Well,
that.
I mean, your father was a farmer.
He was.
So really, you could have been out there driving a tractor or planting tobacco or stripping tobacco or, there's a lot of work to be done on the farm.
There's always
I'm sure they could have used you, Norma.
There is always plenty of work. But I was like fourth in line, and I think the four above me were really hard workers, and I think I was just kind of a nuisance in the
field,
birth
in
order.
the barn. They just spoiled you, in other words.
Yeah.
And
Well,
your husband continued to spoil you.
I hope he did. I hope he did. I think he did. I think he did.
Yeah. So you got to stay in the house and take care of the kids, and that's a lot of work
That's
too,
a lot
Norma.
of work. That's a lot of work.
So,
But back to our county seat of Springfield, we do have plenty of opportunities here for our older citizens who cannot drive to Louisville and Lexington and places like that. And I'm so thankful for St. Catherine's and our Opera House Theater, which I do volunteer to
I know
help.
you volunteer
And
at the theater. Yeah.
I'm just overwhelmed because if I have friends that tell me they get bored or they can't do it, and I'm thinking, no. And plus, our little church, our only building out in our community, has lots of things that the whole community is invited to.
Right, right. Yeah. And I know you, as I said, you are, because I know you volunteer for the theater.
I do.
And what else? I know there's some other
Lincoln
things.
Museum.
The Lincoln Museum. So.
And I one time was on the library board.
Right.
And that's very demanding, and I did enjoy my 4 years on it, but I'm glad, some younger people are pushing it on. But
And I know with your working in the school system, you were involved in a lot of things in the school as well.
Loved it.
So you were always, and then you were lucky to raise 4 very successful children.
They are.
Hal Goode, whom everyone in this county and throughout Kentucky knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is now who was our economic development director here, and we were fortunate to have Hal on the show not very long ago, and had a nice interview with him. I don't know if you've gotten to see that yet.
I haven't. I need to get somebody to.
Yeah. So you can watch that on your computer on YouTube, or you can watch it on the website.
So on the computer, we just go to Channel 6 and it'll come up?
Well, you can go to Central Kentucky TV and then Channel 6, and it'll show different programs on there.
Great.
Or you can stream it live. It'll come in whatever's playing currently. But you can also, with Hal's interview, I don't know yet if it's on YouTube, but I've advised several people to some of the older programs. You can just go to YouTube on the computer and look up Community Focus on Washington County, and lots of the programs are on there.
That's wonderful.
And you'll see, pictures of them and who the guests were that day, and that's I found to be very handy.
I love my computer.
Yeah.
I do. I use it every day. I really like it because I have 12 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren, so
oh my!
I do use my computer.
Yeah. And so I suppose that a lot of them, because you've got Jeff, who's retired now from the environmentalist.
He was environmentalist,
with the health department, Lincoln Trail Health Department, and so he, I know you're proud of all your, and he's got how many? He
has 2 daughters and 1 granddaughter.
Okay.
And he is my oldest son, and he is he got the work ethics, I think, from his grandfather, because he retired, but he's worked every day ever since he retired. And right now he's working at Toy Tommy, which I know nothing.
Jeff is?
Yeah, I know nothing about that. See, you and I are catching up on family news.
Yeah. Well, goodness sakes.
So, but he's got he's a wonderful son. Well, they all are, and I'm thankful. I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
And, and my youngest son helps take care of 3 daughters in high school, so he does well too. And he's not as well, but he's like everybody's taxi driver, and has to do all that, so he does okay.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And 3 girls in high school, that's a handful. So, yes, I know. I haven't had an opportunity to see Todd in quite some time, but I thoroughly enjoy when I get to see him, because all of your children are like you, Norma. They have a lot of personality.
Well,
and
thank goodness maybe they don't have as much of a talkative as I do.
Well, I'm just glad that you've, been here and been active in this community, and I know what you did for the special needs children of this community, working in the school system and all. And I'm sure, as you said, that you probably still get to see people and that you worked with in the school system, and it's quite a blessing when you have the opportunity, when you get to see just how well they've done and how much they appreciate the work you did for them.
And for them to remember their teachers. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
When a student does remember a teacher or their teacher,
yeah,
or anyone that worked with them.
Right.
And some do have a lot of special needs and need that help, need that extra help, as your own children sometimes do. But a little back to Texas again, just one more time. Of course, the church was organized in 1805, and there were other churches there at one time. There was several in the community, but right now it's just that one.
Bethlehem Baptist.
Bethlehem Baptist Church. Yeah. And so 1805, and so the cemetery part of it, which is just right next to the church building, as they used to be mostly in the olden days, And there's some old stones up there, and it's very, very impressive just to, we have people that just drive down the road, drive up in there and look around. And it's not fenced in or gated, and it's open all the time. So I think that is unusual for now.
Well, it is a beautiful cemetery, and I know there's a lot of history in the cemetery and with the church, and I'm just delighted that there's still. Now, you used to write the column for the Springfield Sun.
I did.
About the Texas community and all the activities going on.
I did.
And so now I think Miss Hayes.
There's Hayes.
Does the, and she always tells about everybody's birthdays and who's been to visit, and yeah.
And it's fun. This is another Mr. Moran story. He told me at one time, when the Springfield Sun was like just old, or back when they started, in your communities, I'm sure a lot of communities in Kentucky had the same thing. He said there were over 38 local newsletters, where then people didn't have internet, so and they would just write and say they had lunch with Grandma, or I mowed the yard today, or la la la. But after a while, but I wrote a little goodbye article when my husband was sick. About 10 years ago, I guess, and I admire Ken Begley, who writes for the Springfield Sun, and he wrote me a letter after that, and I just appreciate it, because I do love to write. I do write.
You do?
I'll probably go home and rewrite all of this in my journal when I get home. I can remember it.
So do you write stories?
Oh, no,
or
no,
poems,
no.
or?
It's just a daily journal. Without saying anything horrible, I hope.
Well, you're always very positive, and you always say very nice things about people, and you have such a great attitude, and I always enjoyed reading your columns when you wrote for Texas Community.
Yes.
So, but I'm glad you write. Yeah. Well, maybe you should just start contributing again to the Springfield Sun, and
I would probably write a letter to the editor or something like that, but right now I've got so many other things. I'm pretty busy.
Oh, okay. So you're doing traveling, or?
I do travel as much as I can, and then of course with my church and the local things I come to, like I don't ever miss the St. Catherine's Christmas chorus and that's coming up,
Right. Yeah, we just had the Nell and Kathy on here talking about all the things this weekend.
I'm sure
downtown is the open house.
Yes.
And all the Christmas open houses and lots of the crafters market and various things like that. So I'm sure you'll be here this weekend for that. Or are you with the homemakers too?
No, no.
Okay.
I was more of I never even. I'm a homemaker, but I didn't join the clubs. I joined music club and sports things and things like that, but not a homemakers club.
Yeah. But I know you'll be downtown for
Oh
that.
yes, I love the crafts. I think
Yeah.
they're nice. I think they're
Yeah,
nice.
so you're busy, and as you said, and then we've got theater coming up too. So our next guest is going to be our new theater director.
I
So that
know.
will be good.
Oh, I'm so glad you're
Yeah.
going to interview him. So I'll definitely have to listen to that because I
Yeah.
just spoke to him a minute ago.
Yeah.
Seems so nice.
Yeah. So I just want to, you know, I'm glad that we still have the Texas community, and I'm glad we've got people in the community, in the Texas community like you, Norma, that represent your community well.
Right.
And I'm glad you're in Washington County and that you are as helpful to the community as you are, and a good proponent.
I don't know if you remember, but you did sit in my house at one time. But you've probably forgotten.
Yes,
It's
I
been
did.
sometime back.
Yeah.
So most of the time, people want to like come in, like say, "Oh, let me just walk through." Of course, it's just an old Federal Hill type house, but it is home. You know, it is home.
Yeah.
Very homey. Nothing
That's
glamorous
beautiful.
about it. Nothing glamorous about it.
Well, you always.
If there's any glamour, it's just me.
And you can always visit Norma at her Federal Hill home if you can catch her at home.
Yeah, you have to call first.
Yeah, call first. So thank you for being on the program
thank you
today.
so much for asking me.
And
My goodness.
I look forward to seeing you downtown this weekend.